Next, I'm going to take off this power steering ram. The way this system works on these is it's a manual steering, and in the gearbox, this is actually what provides the power. And there's a control unit over there that the pitman arm is connected to that controls whether you're pushing that left or right based on how far you're turning the steering wheel. It's a different kind of system. I think a lot of them leak. I'm probably looking to see if I can upgrade the steering system somehow. On the 74 I went rack and pinion, and not sure that was the best choice because my turning radius increased. It's pretty solid in terms of stability and all that, but it's really not that much better than this one was, because this one was in good shape. And so I just don't know whether that's the way I want to go. Well, I know that's not the way I want to go on this one. Let's put it that way. I'm not 100% sure which way I'm going to go. Borgeson makes a unit that's got I can't see that very well. It's got a better ratio. I don't know. I don't think it would change the radius. It just, with less turn of the steering wheel, the wheels turn a little further. And I'm considering that. And I also saw, and it's probably about twice the price of the Borgeson unit, I saw an electric power steering like is in the C7. So that one kind of caught my attention. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do yet though. So I got the cotter pin at, and it turns out that that nut that's holding that on is a 3/4, and there's no way I would have been able to fit the impact wrench in between this cross member and that to take it off, because I don't have a stubby impact wrench. But with the long extension, I'm sure I can get that right off with the impact wrench. The impact wrench is probably overkill for this, but in theory it'll make it quick. And in practice it made it quick. So to take the other side of the steering ram off, I already removed the cotter pin, and in trying to turn the take the nut off, the whole shaft is spinning because there's nothing to hold it. A little bit tough to see that nut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the whole bracket off, and there are 4 bolts to the bracket here. They are, I'll show you them when I get it off, but there are 2 brackets in there. There's 2 brackets in there that have bolts welded to them that hold that on. the other bracket on. So in other words, you have that one's going to be easier from the other side. I see the problem. I need an extension there because this isn't long enough to get up into the too much stuff in the way. So I will get an extension and take those off. So these, I hope I don't make a liar out of myself, but these tend to come off pretty easy because there's generally so much power steering leakage around them that they haven't rusted. That's been my experience. So this is the last one for the bracket. So these are the two little brackets that hold that power steering ram bracket on. And so I was trying to describe, each of them goes down through two holes in the frame. And then you don't need to put a wrench in there to try and keep it from turning when you're putting it on or off. So the last thing to getting that power steering ram off now is usually the toughest. This is just pressure fit into this drag link, and sometimes they can be a bear. I'm going to try, as I separate ball joints and tie rod ends and such, I'm going to try to show several different methods that you can use it, and the methods that I'll show pretty much work on any of these joints. It's just a matter of what kind of tools you have and how much work you're willing to do. So the first one I'm going to try, and I don't normally use this on the tie rod ends and such. It works fairly well on ball joints on these cars. But basically, if you strike the piece that's going through and momentarily deform that with the blow of the hammer, it loosens it up and it'll pop out. Now I have put the nut back on just enough so that when it comes out it's not going to fall. But you can do that. And like I said, depending on how hard you want to work and what tools you have available, that will work. Another way is, once you've got this nut back on here, to actually take that hammer and strike it this way. But a lot of times you don't have the swing to do that. Okay? So that's number 2. Number 3, which I'm going to shut off the camera while I get it out, is to use an air hammer on it. Okay, the air hammer, I have a blunt tip on it, so I don't want to cut it. And I've left the nut on here so that it keeps the air hammer centered on the stud that I'm trying to drive out. Still doesn't want to come. And again, you can beat on that as long as you like, and eventually it probably would come like this. But since we're demonstrating ways to do it, I'm going to bring a pickle fork attached to the air hammer. Now, I do have a manual one. I really don't care for them that much. I haven't had a lot of success with them, but since it's a tool that you may have, I'm going to try it here. This fork will go down inside that, try to wedge it out. And just me, but anytime I would do this, I would replace these rubber pieces anyway, so I'm not worried about damaging them. Hey, first time for everything. That one worked. And hopefully I didn't damage the threads on it. I can get that nut off. If I did, then I get to show you the nutcracker. But I don't think I beat on it that long to damage it. What I've got now is a situation that you don't want to get, and that is it's loose from the drag link, and the nut maybe has some damaged threads, and it won't come off now. So this is my manual pickle fork that I was telling you I rarely have success with. I'm just going to put it in there, put some pressure on it, see if I can stop that from turning. So those are some of the trials and tribulations you can go through with Trying to remove the ball joint type things from any car, any piece of the steering, or, you know, upper and lower ball joints. I do have more that I have to take off, so I will attempt to show you a couple tools I have that can also be used to do that. So I was going to try to take these two power steering lines off. I tried the other day and I couldn't get them. This is one of the ones that just came off, but curiously enough, when that came off, it came off because it broke, or it was broke, because I didn't see any piece fall today. And that is what remains of the hole. I can't even get the camera to focus on it any closer than that, but that is the place it came out of, which now that I have that off, I have better access to the big nut behind it, because that was in the way of me getting any kind of a wrench on it. So this is an 11/16, and it's not a flare nut wrench, but it is a wrench that puts pressure on the side of the nut instead of the corner. But it's going to be difficult to get that one in there, so I'm going to try a flare nut wrench now that I have more room to work. So I did find the piece that broke off there, but I really don't know what the deal is there, because, and that's not an 11/16, that's a 5/8. I don't know what the deal is there, because it looks like a fresh break, but I didn't see it break, I didn't feel it break, I don't know what the deal is. I walked all the way over to the toolbox to get the 5/8, and it was on the other end of the wrench I had in my hand. Now, like I said from the beginning, I don't hide anything. I don't try to make it look easy. If I make a mistake, I show it. That is going to take some effort to break that loose. Let's see if I can do it with this flat one here. Let's get a little bit longer so I get a little bit better leverage. Having trouble even getting that one. Trying to stay out of the way of the camera, and I can't get any leverage on it to pull it. Let's see if I can get over here. There it comes. Just trying to get that out of my way, because I want to work on the connection between that and by that I mean that control unit there. and the ball joint type fitting that connects it to the pitman arm. This would be really hard repair to do, I think, with the body on, and trying to save the pieces and that, because as you recall, I cut the power steering lines, because even if I go with either of the two types of systems I'm thinking about, I won't be using these pieces. There'll be different power steering lines going directly to the steering gear, and this piece won't exist in the system. So it's not a problem to me that I broke that. It would be if I was trying to just replace these lines, because then I'd have to replace the whole box, the whole control unit. So I'm going to shut the camera off while I take these last few threads off to make the video shorter.